Hi guys, Happy New Year. This is my first video, 2024. I've been very busy, so that's why the delay. Just before I get started, we have our men's meetup this Saturday, that is 13th of January 2024 at Olel Polos in Kiserian. So if you're interested in joining us, you can comment or just write, express your interest in the comments below this video, and let you know how you can join us. So that will be a men's retreat. The basic thing we want to do is to agree on some of the things we're going to do as unplugged men, how we can impact on the society, and also how we can improve our financial situations and build financial resilience. So we're going to have speakers talking about finances, building financial resilience, making comebacks, career comebacks, and life comebacks. So if you're interested, you let me know. Now, today I want to talk about a topic that has not been well understood, particularly by men. There's this thing when you look at the internet, men are being told, wanaume tafuteni pesa. And recently I had an encounter with a young man when I told him that he needs to use the money to spend on himself so that he can increase his value. It really confused him because he thought that the reason he's working so hard is so that he can spend this money on women, because many men grow up thinking that women are the prize. Women are the ultimate prize. And so that is what I want to address today. I want to start with the origin of this belief, what it has given to men, the kind of results and outcomes men have found from exploring or relying on that belief, and what men can do about it. We'll also interrogate the idea. So for starters, when we were growing up, I don't know how you guys grew up, but when I was growing up, we used to read the Ladybird series. There was a story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, or even the Sleeping Beauty. I think Sleeping Beauty and Snow White are one and the same thing. In the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, there is a huntsman who is sent to kill her. But when he sees Snow White, he is so struck by her beauty, he decides not to kill her. Instead, he tells her that he was sent to kill her and she should hide. So Snow White runs off, and she chances on this building that is very untidy, and she cleans it up. It happens to belong to the Seven Dwarfs who had gone hunting, and when they come back, they found the place very clean, and they are really mesmerized when they meet Snow White, and they are very grateful, and they don't want her to leave. Unfortunately, of course, Snow White is poisoned and she dies. But what happens is that these dwarfs are so awestruck by her beauty, they decide not to bury her. And they put her in a glass coffin so that they can just look at her and how beautiful she is. And what happens is that in the story, you get to they get the message that beauty can be so pristine and so ethereal that it can even escape the clutches of death. The body doesn't decay when it's so beautiful. So that was where we get notions as small boys that, women are these very beautiful, nice things that you want to keep and you want to preserve. And they're just like diamond, So the notion of having a woman or a girl, you start getting it when you're very young as a boy. And many men end up making women their mental point of origin. And that is one reason why in most households today, it is women who run the show, because men just surrender their will to the women. They want to preserve and they want to keep these women. But that is one. In the Bible, there's a story of Jacob and Leah. Jacob works for 7 years to get the hand of Leah in marriage. It is not because Leah has any particular skill or education or whatever. It's just she's just a woman, and Jacob is in love with her. And from this story, you get the idea that if you love a woman, you need to be able to do anything to get her hand in marriage. In Africa, men pay dowry. You have to pay dowry to get a wife, okay? It means that there can be no transaction. A woman brings a value, and the man has to present the bride price to to his in-laws for him to get a woman. So it conveys the idea that women bring some particular value, which of course we're not disputing that, because women are the ones who can help you to expand your legacy, and women are actually born with value. I'm going to talk about that one also. In the Bible, in the book of Numbers 31:17, God actually orders that the men, women, and even children should be killed. But if they get virgin girls, they keep them. And historically, women have always been taken as spoils of war, because women have that value and the intrinsic value of expanding your community. If you take these women as prisoners or as sex slaves, then you can actually use them to make your community bigger and increase your strength. So that is just biological. Okay. Now, one thing that we learn is that women are born with value. And what value is this women are born with? It's the primary agency of women is their sexuality. Women know this, although they don't want you to say it. And this is why women, the entire billion-dollar cosmetic industry, it's basically being propped by women, because women spend on cosmetics, they prioritize their looks, and it's because women have always known that they fare well when they are beautiful, and it increases their chances of survival. They get the best men, they even get the best jobs, they get promotions and so on, just because of their beauty. So we say that the primary agency of women is their sexuality. It is not the only agency, but it's the primary agency. Women who are beautiful get all the attention, they get all the opportunities and all that, okay? And that's why we talk about pretty privilege. Women who are pretty, they get a lot of privileges, okay? That is just in life, this is the way the society is. Professor Warren Farrell wrote a book called The Myth of Male Power, and in it is why he actually articulated the idea that women are beauty objects and men are success objects, and I'm going to explain to you why. You see, if you look at the story of Rapunzel, I'm talking still about the myths, these childhood stories we read. Rapunzel is imprisoned in a tower, and there's a prince who has seen her and is in love with her. But the prince has to devise a way of getting out of that tower. The prince has to perform for him to get Rapunzel, who is beautiful. Okay? Rapunzel doesn't need to do anything. She's just a victim. She's been put there by a witch or through a curse, but it is the princess to solve that problem. If you look at the story of Wonder Woman, okay, Marvel series, Wonder Woman just needs to have lipstick and long hair, and she's strong. She's stronger than Superman. She's stronger than all these other guys. Okay? So women, a woman just is. She doesn't need to work so hard. She doesn't need to go to the gym. She's not even muscular. Compare that to Hulk and Superman and the others. These guys have to be strong. They have to, their body actually has to embody the power that they have. But a woman, it is not necessary. Okay? And that is why we say that women just are, but men have to become. If you look at the story of Jesus Christ, Jesus has to die for him to become Christ. He has to die before he can resurrect. Okay? And Dante said that the road to heaven begins in hell. Men have to perform. Women don't need to perform. Now, as we get socialized as young boys, we hear stories like Celine Dion's, love doesn't ask why. And you grow up thinking that, when you love a woman, you're supposed to surrender to that particular love. Of course, as a young person, you don't think critically, but the subliminal message actually impacts your thinking and how you're socialized, okay? Even when you look at Brandon Wood's Everything, love is everything and love is what is prioritized. And men grow up thinking that the way you love a woman is the same way a woman loves you, but that is one of the most misleading conceptions or concepts that we get from the society, and that's that we have to unplug from. Women love differently, and women also love for different reasons than men. Okay? Now, fast forward to Disney. In Disney, when you watch movies, you see men are told that you need to kneel when you're proposing to a woman. When you want her hand in marriage, you kneel before her, the way the princess or the knights were kneeling before their kings. So you're basically supplicating to her. You're treating her like you're superior, and you're lowering yourself than her. And that actually is where many men start going wrong in their relationships. Okay? chivalry or chivalry, the way it is, you're told you open doors for women, you pull seats for them. And this is the role that servants used to do. Even if you look, if you go to big hotels, the butlers and the watchmen who open the doors for you. But now men are told that for you to be a gentleman, you need to actually adopt this role of a servant. And this is one way of actually pedestalizing women and treating them as the prize, treating them as higher than men. The original notion of chivalry had nothing to do with women. Chivalry had something to do with the honor. It's a code of honor between men or among men. For example, chivalry said you don't attack a man when he's down. You don't attack a man when his back is turned on you. You don't speak about a man when he's not present, and so on. That's what chivalry was. But then later on, it was corrupted, and now they included the challenges of courtly love and ideas of feminism, and now the ideas of pedestalizing women were now smuggled into what is called chivalry. I've spoken about that one in Unplugged Book 2 and Book 1. Okay? Now, are women the prize? I think what the cases have given you before, you see that women actually are presented as the prize, and many men are socialized. The Bible says that whoever gets a wife gets a good thing. The Bible does not tell you whether this wife is supposed to be submissive, whether she's supposed to be faithful to you or loyal to you or respectful. It just says whatever, as long as it's a wife, it's a good thing. And that is one of the biggest challenges that many men actually have. Many men rush to get into marriages, to commit themselves to women who turn out to give them a very rough time, a nightmare in their lives. So are women the prize? First of all, women need men for survival. Without men, women actually cannot survive. Men normally need women, of course, for reproduction and also for sex. But just in terms of survival, men can survive without women. In the absence of men, for example, and those of you who lived in agricultural communities can see this, women, even if you look at monkeys and baboons, they don't fear women. In fact, if you have crops and these crops are ready for harvesting, women are not capable of actually going and chasing away these animals when they're destroying the crops. The baboons and the monkeys will actually chase away the women. It has to be a man to actually go and ward off these wild animals, because even animals know that women are physically weak and are also timid in general, and men are more strong and aggressive. So that is number one. You'd have a lot of chaos. Even if these wild animals realize that the only people in the society now are women, the baboons will start advancing and start taking over the place. So women actually need men for survival. And women also don't understand nature, because in terms of the psychology of men and women are more interested in people and men are more interested in things. Because men are more interested in things, men are also able to understand nature more. They're better hunters. They know how to marshal things like water and so on and so forth, just for purposes of survival. So women actually really need men for survival. If you look at roads, even today, roads, power plant, offshore drilling, all those operations are done by men, and women are not able to handle those. So that is number one. Okay, women need men for survival. Women are born with value, and men have to become valuable, and that is why men really need to learn about masculinity, because if a man does not make himself valuable, he's useless to the society. However, the value that women are born with is attached to a ticking biological clock, okay? And I've talked about this in Unplugged. If you are not clear about that, there is all that you know about menopause, and I mentioned earlier about women's primary agency being their sexuality. Unlike women, men of course are born without value, but men have to make themselves valuable over time. The good thing is, we normally say that what Mother Nature denies men, Father Time gives them. The good thing is that the value of men increases gradually over time. And normally, if you draw a graph, at the age of 30, that is when the value of men and women coincide. Beyond 30, the value of a man increases as the value of a woman declines, at least if the man is on his purpose. So what you find is that the advantage men have, and guys need to realize this, You can derive your value from so many sources. A man can be valuable because of his status in the society, okay? A man can be valuable because of the skill that he has. A man can be valuable because of the kind of leadership he produces, or he gives the society. A man can be valuable because of his confidence. A man can be valuable because of his charisma and so on. But women's value is just one. It's basically their sexuality. And what you'll see is that ask any people in the society, if you're given a woman who has a PhD and a good job, okay, you ask a man who has his own job and his own resources, is given the option of choosing a woman who is 40 years old with a PhD, very beautiful woman and a good job, and is also given a 23-year-old woman who is also beautiful but is not educated. 99% of the men will go for the younger woman, because that is where beauty is. The woman who is 40 years, her beauty has decayed, okay? So women, of course, don't like this being said, but I'm now just speaking as a man. And we normally say in economics that it's the buyers who decide. Demand is what decides the value of a particular product or commodity. And in terms of the sexual marketplace, men are now what we refer to as the buyers. Okay? So the women's value are attached to biological clock. Men's value have greater longevity and also greater leverage or latitude. You don't have to rely on one thing. So you can even be a short man, okay, or an ugly man, but you can have resources and you're confident and you can lead people, you have status. You'll still have a very high sexual marketplace value. So that's very important to remember. Okay? Now, the other thing when you want to look at the value of men versus the value of women, in the modern world today, 75% to 80% of divorces are actually filed by women. This means that even if you are to attach your value or your future to a woman, the chances of you getting divorced actually have increased. And it's normally said that when the woman is educated and has a career, the chances increase up to 90%. Okay? So that is important. In the past, when we had women depending on men for their survival, this was much, much lower. But now women have their own money and they have their own careers and they don't prioritize marriage as much as it was done in the past. So that is the third point. The fourth one is that men bring more in a relationship compared to women. And this is something that, of course, women will argue and push back. But this is the thing. If you look at any marriage, okay, most marriages, let me not say any marriage, because we have marriages where women are married to bums. But most marriages, any man who is married, ask yourself, between resources that go to the family, whether it is school fees, whether it is bride price, whether it is just money that you send to your in-laws, vis-a-vis the money that your wife sends to your in-laws, you'll find it's always the net that the man is always the one that gives more value to his wife and her family or her extended family. It's never, or almost never the reverse, okay? Of course, women will give you children, but women also want children, even without the man wanting children. Biologically, women are wired to want children, and that is when they feel validated, and that is also gives them a peace of mind and gives them a sense of security, because women also play a long-term game. They know that in terms of the provision, the man may not always be there, and many times they move that burden to the children. So women also want children, okay? Secondly, women are hypergamous. The reason they are hypergamous is because they want to extract the value from the man. If they are not extracting the value, there will be no need for the man to be hypergamous. And hypergamy, for those who don't know, is the habit of women marrying men who have higher status, higher income, higher men who are taller, men who are good looking, and so on in the society, so that they can derive value. That also means the net effect of it is that the man is going to be giving more, okay, within that marriage or within the relationship. And the reason the man needs to be earning more than the women from hypergamy, women want you to earn more than them. Even women who are CEOs and who run their businesses, they want men who earn more than them. Those are the men that they can respect. The net result is the man is going to be paying more. And the role of the servant and the role of the employee, okay, it normally comes from the person who is being paid. You cannot be paying more and yet you are still the servant. So men normally give more in a relationship. Currently, statistically, between 4 out of 10 women actually are single mothers. So you'll find that in terms of the value that the modern women have, it has actually declined. There was a time when people could marry virgins. Nowadays, you don't marry virgins anymore because of the hookup culture. Women start getting into sex very early in life. But at the same time, many women now are single mothers before they are actually married. So many men actually have to settle to become stepfathers as they get a wife. So many women then will be much more under pressure to get a man who can settle with them, with their children from previous relationships. Another thing is the modern woman is trained to be a worker, not to be a wife. So many women struggle to become wives.